Hi guys, this is Sheikh ANSAR Basha. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you are all doing fine and keeping good health. Today we start learning class 7 NCERT, our past chapter 8, Devotional Paths to the Divine. Bhakti Sufi movements. These are the two important concepts we are going to study in this chapter. Bhakti is associated with Hinduism and Sufi is associated with Islam. People perform rituals of worship or singing bhajans, kirtans or qawwalis or even repeating the name of God in silence. So that is one of the important feature of Bhakti Sufi movements. Here see people how are worshipping and doing bhajans and kirtans as well as making qawwali. You might have noticed that some of them are moved to tears while doing bhajans, kirtans and worshipping and singing qawwali. Some are, you can say, even they are moved to the tears. Such intense devotion or love of God is the legacy of various kinds of Bhakti and Sufi movements in our country that we are going to discuss one by one. So, which has evolved in our country since the 8th century onwards. In India, we will be discussing here. This is how we can say the unity, universality of, you can say, the oneness of religions. You can find here, you can say Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs, as well as you can say the Christians who are united together. The idea of a supreme God. Supreme God means there is a supreme God deity for everyone. What it says we will discuss. Before large kingdoms emerged, different groups of people worshipped their own gods and goddesses. So innumerable gods were there as people were brought together through the growth of towns, traders and empires. New ideas began to develop in our country also. This is what we can find. The idea that all living things pass through countless cycles of birth and rebirth, performing good deeds and bad, came to be widely accepted. That is common everywhere. Similarly, the idea that all human beings are not equal even at birth gained ground during this period. That is the important features of the Bhakti movement as well as the idea of a supreme God. Many people were uneasy with such ideas and turned into the teachings of the Buddha or the Jainas, according to which it was possible to overcome social differences and break the cycle of rebirth through personal efforts and dedication. Others felt attracted to the idea of a supreme God who could deliver humans from such bondage if approached with devotion, that is bhakti. This idea, advocated in the Bhagavad Gita, a holy book of Hinduism, grew in popularity in the early centuries of the Common Era. Shiva, Vishnu and Durga were regarded as supreme deities in those days, and they came to be worshipped through elaborate rituals. You can see the Bhagavad Gita. This is the holy book of Hinduism. Here we have Vishnu, and then you can say the Shiva incarnations and Durga, and here how the people are performing. You can say the bhakti and worshipping. This is the statue of Gautama Buddha. Veerashaiva movement or Lingayat movement. Lingayat or Veerashaiva is a cult within Hinduism. Veerashaiva movement initiated by Basavana and his companions like Allama Prabhu and Akkama Devi. This movement began in the northern part of Karnataka in the mid-12th century. The Veerashaiwas argued strongly for the equality of all human beings, and they are against Brahmanical ideas about caste and the treatment of women. They were also against all forms of rituals and idol worship. This is, you can say, the entire part of Karnataka. Karnataka is located in southern part of India. He is Basavanna. He is the person who is responsible for this new sect in Karnataka. The saints of Maharashtra. The next important Bhakti saints are we have to discuss is about Maharashtra. The most important saints of Maharashtra were Gyaneshwar, Namdev, Eknath and Tukaram, as well as women like Sakkubai and the family of Chokamela, who belonged to the untouchable Mahar caste, a lower caste in Maharashtra. Here we have Gyaneshwar, then we have Namdev, Eknath, Tukaram, and then we have here Chokamela. These saint poets rejected all forms of ritualism that were emerged in those days in the Brahmanical norms. As the famous Gujarati saint Narsi Mehta said, these saints are Vaishnava saints who understand the pain of others. That's why they understood each and everyone and they rejected all rituals and caste system and whatever evils prevailed in our country. Nath, Panthis, Siddhas and Yogis, these are the three important saints of northern part of India. They propagated Bhakti movement in particularly northern part of India, that is Punjab, Haryana, UP, Madhya Pradesh and all other states. They advocated renunciation of the world, training of the mind and body through practices like Yogasana. Yogasana is the prime idea given by them in those days. To achieve this, they advocated intense training of the mind and body. You require both mind and body training that is essential for human being through practices like yogasana, breathing exercise and meditation that can be attained. You can give training to the mind and body by yogasanas and breathing exercises and meditation. These groups became very popular and particularly among the low caste people because they have given most importance to the low class people, Islam and Sufi saints. Now we will discuss about the Islam. Sufis were Muslim mystics. They rejected outward religiosity and emphasized love and devotion to God and compassion towards all fellow human beings. Islam propagated strict monotheism. Monotheism means believing in one God or submission to one God. This monotheism, and it also rejected idol worship and considerably simplified rituals of worship into collective prayers. 5 times a prayer, they all argued. So here see how the rituals are taking place, and this is the equality symbol for all people, humanity, as propagated by Islam. At the same time, Muslim scholars developed a holy law called Sharia. These Sufis often rejected the elaborate rituals and codes of behavior demanded by Muslims religious scholars. The Sufis too composed poems expressing their feelings and a rich literature in prose including anecdotes and fables developed around them. Among the great Sufis, Central Asia were Ghazali, Rumi and Sadi. These are the three jewels of, you can say, the Sufi saints from central part of Asia, especially Balochistan, and then you can say the Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. This is, you can say, we have here Ghazali, Rumi and then you can say Saad. These are the two important Sufi dargahs in our country. That is Khwaja Mainuddin Dargah is located in Asmer and Nizamuddin Auliya Dargah is located in Nizamuddin. Nizamuddin is a place in Delhi. These are all how the Sufis, or you can say the performing their worship to the god. Like the Nadapanthis, Siddhas and Yogis, the Sufis too believed that heart can be trained to look at the world in a different way. They developed elaborate methods of training using zikr, chanting of a name or sacred formula, contemplation, sama, singing, rags, dancing, discussion of parables, breathe and control, etc., under the guidance of a master or peer is called a SHAIK also. Thus emerged the silsilas, a genealogy of Sufi teachers, each following a slightly different method. A large number of Sufis from Central Asia settled in Hindustan from the 11th century onwards. This process was strengthened with the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate, which was formed in the year 1206, when several major Sufi centers developed all around the subcontinent. Subcontinent means India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. The Chishti Silsila was among the most influential orders that has brought into our country. It had a long line of teachers like Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti of Asmer, Kutubuddin Bakri of Delhi, Baba Farid of Punjab, Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya of Delhi, Khaja Bunde Namaz, Gisudas of Gulbarga. The Sufi masters held their assemblies in their khanqahs or hospices. Devotees of all descriptions, including members of the royalty and nobility and ordinary people, flocked into these khanqahs. Often people attributed Sufi masters with miraculous powers that could relieve others of their illness and troubles. That's why what happened, many religious people used to go to the Sufi dargahs to take their blessings. Here you can see even politicians are also visiting the dargahs. Here we have our CM, Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, is in dargah of Kadapa Dargah. Aminpur Dargah is a very famous dargah in our country. New religious developments that took place in North India that we shall discuss now. The period after the 13th century saw a new wave of Bhakti movement in northern part of India. This was an age when Islam, Brahmanical Hinduism, Sufism, various strands of Bhakti and the Nad Panths, Siddhas and Yogis influenced one another. Some of them like Kabir and Baba Guru Nanak rejected all orthodox religions. Others like Tulsidas and Surdas accepted ex- existing beliefs and practices but wanted to make these accessible to all people. Tulsidas' composition, the Ramacharita praising Bhagwan Sri Ram, written in Awadhi, a language used in eastern part of UP. It is important both as a devotion and as a literary work. Surdas was another ardent devotee of Lord Krishna. His compositions compiled in the Sur Sagra, Sur Saroli and Sahitya Lahari express his devotion. Shankara Deva of Assam, late 15th century, who emphasized devotion to Vishnu. This tradition also included saints like Dadu Dayal, Ravi Das, and Mirabai. Mirabai was a Rajput princess married into the royal family of Mewar in the 16th century, but she was attributed to Lord Krishna. She was a stringent devotee of Lord Krishna. Here see Kabir Das, Guru Nanak, Tulsidas, Surdas, Shankaradeva and Mirabai, all the six important eminent personalities who evolved in northern part of India. Now first we shall discuss about the Kabir Das. A closer look Kabir. Kabir, who probably lived in the 15th, 16th centuries, that was the era of Mughals in our country, was one of the most influential saints. He was brought up in a family of Muslim Julahas, that is weavers, settled in or near the city of Benares, that is also known as Varanasi or Kashi. We have little reliable information about his life. We get to know of his ideas from a vast collection of verses called Sakhis and Padas, said to have been composed by him and sung by wandering bhajan singers. Some of these were later collected and preserved in the Guru Granth Sahib, Panchvani and Bijak. These are the important works where his ideas and his dohas were printed. His teachings openly ridiculed all forms of external worship of both Brahmanical Hinduism and Islam, the preeminence of priestly class and the caste system. The language of his poetry was a form of spoken Hindi widely understood by ordinary people. He also sometimes used cryptic language, that is Sadhukadi language, a Kadiboli language, which is difficult to follow. Kabir believed in a formless supreme God. He is a belonging to a Nirgunadhara saint and preached that the only path to salvation was through bhakti or devotion. Kabir drew his followers from among both Hindus and Muslims, particularly from lower caste people. Another important person is Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak is the founder of Sikhism. A closer look, Baba Guru Nanak. We know more about Guru Nanak, who was born in 1469 at Talwandi and died in 1539. Talwandi is located in Nankana Sahib in Pakistan. There are so many important places for Sikhism. Nankana Sahib in Pakistan is a holy place, and Amritsar in India has a golden temple, Nanded Sahib and Dhubri Sahib. He traveled much widely and established his center at Kartarpur, Dera Baba Nanak, on the river Ravi. A regular worship that consisted of the singing of his own hymns was established there for his followers, irrespective of their former creed, caste, and gender. His followers are together in the common kitchen langar. The sacred space thus created by Guru Nanak was known as Dharmashala. It is now known as Gurudwara. Before his death in 1539, Guru Nanak appointed one of his dearest follower as his successor. He is Guru Angad, is a successor who compiled the compositions of Guru Nanak, to which he added his own in a new script known as Guru Mukhi, in which the Guru Granth Sahib is written. The three successors of Guru Angad also wrote under the name of Nanak, and all of their compositions were compiled by Guru Arjan Dev in 1604. To this compilation were added the writings of other figures like Sheikh Farid, Saint Kabir, Bhagat Namdev, and Guru Tej Bahadur. In 1706, this compilation was authenticated by his son and successor Guru Gobind Singh. It is now known as Guru Granth Sahib. That is the way the holy book of Sikhism came into being. The holy scriptures of the Sikhs is very, very important for Sikh. The number of Guru Nanak's followers increased throughout the 16th century and his successors. They belonged to a number of castes, but traders, agriculturists, artisans, and craftsmen predominated in his followers. This may have something to do with Guru Nanak's insistence that his followers must be householders and should adopt productive and useful occupations. They were also expected to contribute to the general funds of the community of followers. This is the Golden Temple of Amritsar. The 17th century, the town of Ramdaspur are developed around the central Gurudwara called Harminder Sahib Golden Temple. In 1606, the Sikh movement began to get politicized in the 17th century, a development which culminated in the institution of the Khalsa by Guru Gobind Sahib Singh in 1699. The community of Sikh called the Khalsa Panth became a political entity. Guru Nanak emphasized the importance of the worship of only one God, only one supreme God, that is monotheism. He insisted that caste, creed, gender was irrelevant for attaining liberation. He himself used the terms Nam, Dan, and Isnan for the essence of teaching, which actually meant right worship, welfare of others, and purity of conduct. His teachings are now remembered as Nam Japna, Kirt Karna, and Vand Chakna, which also underline the importance of right belief and right worship, honest living, and helping others. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.